always, I'm very, very thankful to the Calicut branch for this opportunity. And I'm actually very, very impressed that 40 people actually chose to log in a small branch. And I think that's a very, very good number. I'm, of course, delighted to be of any form of help. And very funnily, during my tenure as the Central Council, I think Calicut was one of my more visited branches. And there was just some funny cosmic connection that I had with Calicut for some really unknown reason. The branches that I would keep somehow going very often to, one of them was Calicut. And of course, not to mention that I have a few delightful friends who've always been around. And, Sujit has been there, Ranjani, Vinodji, everybody. So the warmth was amazing. And here's a big, big thanks to the managing committee comprising Dawood, Arun, Jigesh, Mujib Rahman, Surya Narayanan, and Sachin Sridharan. And to get these names, I happened to have a look at the Calicut website. And I clearly think it's one of the best looking websites I have seen. It looks really, really nice. And I like the way you had presented the programs. And I, in fact, wanted to just take a screenshot and send it to ICAI. It was extremely clear, and it was one of those truly pull websites where, you actually felt like going and doing something. And it's nice to know that a lot of very nice and creative work happens right across ICAI. So I'm very, very happy to be doing this presentation. And most of it is my own experience in some sense. I started out as a young member. I started in 2001, which was when I was about 26, 27. And this is also in some part a story of how I sort of worked and what were the challenges. And of course, I had this extra, a lady in practice. Initially, people used to be very scared, women in practice. Will I get my salary the next month? And is she serious? I think we've come a long way. And 20 years is actually a long time. And I think a lot of things have changed. So in some sense, this presentation is going to be just straight from my heart. There's nothing technical about it. And I thought I'll just mix what's in the mind of a young CA, what's the industry and what's the atmosphere like in the country today and even abroad, and how you can build your practice. And most of the fundamentals yourself, but I've just tried to stitch it together in a presentation. And what I stitched, I hope will fly, and it'll fly for you. So I'm going to share my screen now. I don't think it's going to last for 3 hours, but let's take it slowly. And whatever you have questions, and if I can answer them for you, I'll be very, very happy to answer. I hope I'm audible. If there is some lag in the connectivity, request the chairman to just put up his thumb down or something. So then I'll know that I have to do some correction. So I've put together this very small PowerPoint because I just thought it'll be nice to have some focus. So the chairman said we need a very nice theme for young members in practice. What should the theme be? And he said, our members want to be smart. They want to be good. They want to be prosperous. So we had a very short discussion and I said, okay, let's make it the Olympic motto. It's called Situs Altus Fortis, which is swifter, faster, stronger. So we said, okay, let's make this smarter, higher, stronger. And hopefully at the end of this presentation, you'll at least get your kit ready to go running towards a smarter, higher, and a stronger practice. So broadly, this is going to be the focus of my practice. See, somewhere along the line in life, it's never too late to revisit decisions. The first thing I'd like you to understand is you must understand whether practice is for you. Or when I started out, as soon as I qualified, I quite didn't think about practice at all because nobody even walked me through that session. So I promptly went and joined the first job. Actually, I got, which was Ford. And then, my partner in PW said, why don't you come back? And then I went back. And then when my son was born, I decided that maybe I should look at practice. And I actually got a job in another company called Kane Energy, but somehow I didn't take it and I came to practice without even knowing how to start a practice or what to do in practice. I had absolutely no clue. And I think my biggest and most of the people I knew when I started practice were all only my own office, which was PW, where I did my articles. I didn't know a single person whom I could approach. most of what I learned is basically from the internet. I would just Google, figure out how to start, how to go about things. And I started in a very small way. My first year's income was something like, I think 3.5 lakhs or something like that. And from there on, I just managed to build something. But even there, I was very happy because I said, it's okay, I'm making something, And my first practice was in a corner of my bedroom where I used to have a little table, and my son was there. And in fact, it was very funny then because my son was only one, and he was, he used to do these exercises in hand-eye coordination, and he used to put coins inside my floppy drive. So, one day I figured out my computer was not working, and then I figured out that, it was filled with 1 rupee coins in the floppy drive. So the long and short of it is, if I can get here, anybody can get here. So, and a lot of work was done at home, and after which I decided to move out to an office. And even now, when people ask me, how are you managing in COVID? I tell them, look, 60% of the time I'm always working from home because I'm very happy. And it's worked for me. And so with COVID, it's now become 90%, so it doesn't matter. So that's the other thing nice about practice. Your client, and today the client is, everybody's on Zoom. So in terms of a practice approach, is practice the right fit for you? What are the practice basics? How do you get work? What are the different service lines, and how do you grow? That's what we focus about. And I'll also try and intersperse it with what I believe are the practice essentials, which is knowledge. And you can repeat knowledge, 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 knowledge. Ours is a profession that's largely the knowledge game. So the more you read, the better you become. And it shows in your work, it shows in your talk, it shows in your confidence. And every day you need to dedicate an hour to reading, excluding the newspaper. 2 is market exposure. By market exposure, it means how do I expose myself to a market? See, the one thing I want to tell you is, please don't think I'm in Calicut. What can I do? You can conquer the world sitting in Calicut. There are people who've sat in, remote outposts in the US who've built huge cars. You've been, today, location agnostic is the name of the game. You can be wherever you want and yet be successful. How do you build a team? So today it's not just you. That's what the client is most worried about when he comes to a small firm. He says, what will I do if you fall sick? Who can I speak to? So the way to work is actually position your person before you. And a lot of times I hear my clients say, your partner is actually slightly better than you. And it makes me enormously proud, given that my partner is actually 15 years younger than me. And so I think when you're down, the team is actually better than you. It's easier for you to run your practice. And of course, the one thing that drives practice and makes your practice grow is client satisfaction. Ultimately, there's only one person to work for and please, and that's your client. And that pleasing has to happen within ethical framework. Your client wants something signed, you please don't sign every way because you're saying it's client satisfaction. Do what is right professionally and make your client happy. So this is the broad contour of what I'm trying to present today. And we'll go through these slides to figure out what I have in mind to talk about it. And at the end of it, we can have a 30-40 minute discussion. However long, like a fireside, so we can just talk openly and freely about things. So the first question I asked you is, are you suited to practice? So I think that's a very important question you need to answer, because every time you have a bad day, you'll keep wondering, oh, should I be practicing? Should I have done something better? I think it's very important. I don't know how many of you go through this, but I went through this even as late as 8-9 years back, when I used to keep getting offers for CFO or GM finance. I used to keep wondering, oh, what am I doing? Or even partnerships in large firms. I used to keep thinking, am I doing the right thing by staying on? And it was not just the money. It was other things as well. I said, look, and my practice has been sort of 18/7. I'm typically a workaholic and I like to work. So it turned out this way for me, and I had a very supportive family. But every time, we had an exam, I used to keep thinking, am I doing the right thing? It took me 20 years of practice to tell myself that I will take off from January 3rd to March 18th for my daughter's 10th standard exams. And if you're a woman in practice, it's even more difficult. You have to make this. And this is the first time in my life that I ever studied after I finished studying. So I think the first thing is, what are your career options as a chartered accountant? It's like saying, okay, let's go to the very beginning. Let's assume today was the day when you finished your CA. What options, stared at you? You could have gone to employment. And one thing I want you to remember is none of us are coming into practice because we did not find a job. If you didn't find a job as a chartered accountant, that's precisely only because you didn't look for it in the correct place. There's enormous amount of opportunity. So you're looking at employment, professional practices, which is the core CA. You want to be in an attest practice. I want to sign for my client. I want to do tax advisory. The third thing is I don't want to sign for my client, but I want to do consulting. I want to do business advisory services for my client. I want to teach them how to make a plan, or let's say how to make a plan. I want to teach them how to optimize their cost. I want to be with them as they build their enterprise. I will run their accounting department for them. All that comes in accounting, consulting, and advisory. The other thing that's taken off in a big way is teaching. Why not? If any of you think you're a great teacher, then I think you should not teach only for CAs to become CAs, but even post-qualification courses, there are lots of things. Like today, I think whatever training is happening, there are lots of firms which would engage people as a professional to actually teach and pay for it. So if you're very good in FEMA, you can put online lectures. Today, the whole world is a university. The whole internet is a university. You hear of platforms like Coursera. You got an Aha Guru that I hear about every day. You got enormous amount of virtual courses. So if you think you're really good on it, put your courses on the net. Put your courses and make money off it. Not a bad idea at all. The other thing I see as a career option for a CA, and this is something that I'd like to tell all of you. This is a bus that I missed personally. I think it's great to qualify as a lawyer as well. You can then take this decision whether you want to be a chartered accountant or whether you want to be a lawyer. Because one thing I have seen in my course of operation as an insolvency professional is that there is a lot of opportunity in the tribunals. Of course, tribunals today, chartered accountants can practice. So that's another thing that you should look at, whether you want to be a full-fledged lawyer or whether you want to look at appearing in tribunals, NCLT, the income tax appellate tribunals. That's a huge area, and I think this whole world is moving to compliance and litigation. And the other thing I have to share with you is I think there is also a lot of fee in those segments as it appears vis-a-vis a traditional practice. So you can also be wanting to appearing in NCLT, it's possible. And the other thing that I think, again, in retrospect, is very a good thing that people should look at is the civil services. So these are the career options that are staring in front of a CA. Similarly, when you go to employment, you might want to decide, do I want to join a manufacturing company? Do I want to join a software company? Do I want to join an ITS company? Do I want to join a bigger audit firm than what I've worked in? Do I want to work with my same audit firm that I've worked in? Do I want to join a bank? Do I want to join a financial services company? All these options stood before you. And currently continue to stand before you. So if you've become a member only in 2015, I presume you would have passed out in 2014 or something, and so you'd be quite young. So don't think that I've gotten into this, I need to stick on. If you find your heart is elsewhere, if you want to become an actor today, if you want to become a paint, if you want to become an artist today, if you want to become whatever you want to become, this is the age, go for it. See, again, a practice can always wait, but that's where I'd like to start with. But once, after mulling over it for a couple of days, you've decided I want to be in practice, please don't look back. Because every day you will encounter a situation. You will have a bad client, you will have a bad experience, your article clerk would have made a mistake, something would have happened, and you can't keep revisiting this decision. So I'm going to go ahead with this PPT with my first lesson to you is be sure you want to be in practice. That's the bedrock of wanting to practice. You must withstand. I read this very nice article. It's talked about this famous Sri Lankan cricketer, Maravan Attapattu. Apparently, he just scored consecutive ducks until he went on to score 16, 17 centuries for Sri Lanka. So you will keep encountering ducks. You will have a great client meeting. And the client will be very happy. And at the end of that meeting, after 2 days, he had given the work to somebody else. So what? It's okay. It's an experience. Move forward. Even today in practice, we do so many presentations, but we don't get all of them. So it's really okay. What's best for me? Now, I don't know whether there's a model But if you want to be in practice, you must have the ability to assess yourself. And in this ability to assess yourself, I think it's very important to be critical about it. Don't start with saying that, like if I wanted to say something, I'd say, oh, Sripriya, you have great communication skills. You'll be great in practice. No. What are my limitations? My core limitation would be that I have chosen a path where I don't want to deviate sign this side or that side. So then for me, I can't be accommodative to an errant client. So that's a setback for me. Similarly, my setback is I would have a slight tendency to prevail over a client. I might have a tendency, so I'm just giving a hypothetical example. I might have a challenge with people who, they have to work fast. So these are how you critically examine a challenge from these points of view. Knowledge, market exposure, team building, and how satisfied will your client be? So when you do this critical self-assessment, first of all, think about, okay, where did I do my articles? I've done my articles in this place. How much did I learn during my articles? Now you go to any of the firm's websites, you will see what are the service lines those firms are offering. Now, even today, in direct taxes out of 10, I would give myself 2.5, but I'm willing to learn. On GST, I would give myself 4 on 10 because I think thankfully when GST started, I learned something. In statutory audits, I would give myself 7 on 10. In internal audits, I would give myself 8 on 10. In international taxation, maybe I'll give myself 2 on 10. In ability to communicate, I would give myself a very high score. In my ability to go and approach a client for work, I'll give myself a very high score. So, post-qualification experience. I had the benefit of some post-qualification experience. So, I picked up a lot of technology at that time. Even today, my Excel skills are pretty strong. I can do a lot of things on Excel, macros, this, that. It helps me. Am I reasonably tech savvy? At the start of your practice, have you worked with clients who were on Oracle, on SAP, on Tally, on different packages? So how technical, how tech savvy am I? Then it comes to technical expertise. Do I know my standards on auditing? Do I know my income tax? Some of you may have interned with firms with very, very good income tax. So give yourself a 10 on 10 on income tax. Nothing wrong. So where is your technical qualification? So these are like your quadrants. These are your scores. Am I in the 90th percentile on this? So make that little box. I'll see if I can put in a box for I saw Institute had actually done a capability maturity assessment for how tech savvy firms are, embracing technology. Somebody should do a capability maturity assessment for even a practice. See, today there is a lot of psychometric counseling and all that people go to. So somebody told me when my son was in 12th standard that I should send him to one of these people to get him assessed. Of course, he didn't want to go. But I'm sure if you want to seek some professional who will tell you, okay, are you in the right path, may not be a bad idea. And I'm told that these tests are actually pretty scientific. So what's your personality type? Introvert versus extrovert. Can you work long hours? Do you value your time with your family? And somewhere, when people talk about work-life balance, I don't really give much to it in the past also. I've worked quite hard at whatever I was doing. Even for my elections, it's a matter of a joke. I think I visited some 3,000 chartered accountants and I still don't know how I did it. But some of them, for example, the rest of them in my house, they value their weekends very much. My extended family, I know people who shut their pens off at 7 o'clock on Friday and say, look, I'm not going to work Saturday, Sunday. So it's each one's personality type. And believe me, they are equally successful as the people who work 18/7. So your personality type is only for you to understand and set the context. Short-term financial position. I use the term short-term financial position because in the short term, practice is a bit slow to pick up. You may not get the kind of money that you will see in industry on day one. The next is family support. If your entire family says, please practice, we are with you, then it's a very good idea to get into practice. But if you feel, no, there are compulsions, there are loans to be settled, it will be better to have a strong, stable income for some time and then get into practice, do that. It's okay. See, and I know people who started practice at 35, 40 who are still very successful. And one thing that I want you to remember is all experience is valuable. Your personal experience, your professional experience, your experience of working in a firm, and experience is good, is valuable. Both your good experiences are valuable and your bad experiences are valuable. Just 1 minute. All experiences are valuable, whether it's good or bad, and it helps you to take off. Are you a thinker, manager, or a doer, or all of this? Again, it's very helpful to understand what you are. So I'm more of a doer. There could be people who are very good at strategy. There could be people very good at managing people. Now, why is this important? Because it helps you to decide how you should get your team. So if I am very good at doing and things like that, the partner whom I take should be more the person who can think strategy, who can do marketing. It helps you to build your team. So today, if you have a strong financial position and family support, you can afford to take a partner who may need more of stable income and he needs to take home something every month which you don't need to. This is very helpful because I managed to build my practice like this. At some point in time, for me, it was not important to take something. So at that time, I brought in partners who needed a fixed commitment. Later on, I came to a situation where I needed to take, and then at that time, we decided we'll have, we will restructure. So these decisions of where you are help you to decide who your client should be. How far can you go to get work or implement work? What kind of team you need? So for example, if your family is very open to your traveling, I would say please do it. Travel is the best teacher. Again, even now, I go for these audits once in a while because I've spent as long as 30 days, 19 days outside the country executing a work when my children were quite young, actually 6-7 years back. I think experience, and even today, if there are outstation audits, I go to do them because it helps me to stay contemporary. One thing is you can execute from Kozhikode, but you can execute anywhere from 20 to 80% from Kozhikode. You still have to go there to a client who's outside to build that confidence. So these decisions are very critical. And also for the women, it's also important to understand at what stage of your life you're in. So I know it's very, very fluid in terms of, are you going to get relocated after marriage? But the whole thing is it's dynamic. See, and one very nice thing in life is nothing is permanent. So I can get into practice today, move into employment tomorrow. I can get into employment and I can go into practice. It's just that it's not a daily decision. It's just that you make these evaluations once in 5 or 10 years. So it's nothing. So today, if you're not yet married and you still want to set up a practice, please set up a practice. Just carry it with you when you go and work in those directions. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do you find work? So these are some avenues. Your own batchmates are a great start point. People who did your GMCS with you, they would go and join organizations. I've not really managed to get work from my batchmates, but each one has a style of trying to get work. This is only the initial work. But one thing I can tell you about practice is you do 3 good engagements without worrying about the cost. The 4th to the 10th just flows in by word of mouth. I'd like to share a personal experience. I work with an extremely good lawyer. So today, he's very good. So today I noticed that very inadvertently, whenever somebody comes to me with a legal problem, I just stop and say, oh, just go to Vijay. He's very good. He's not expensive. I realized that somebody must have done endorsements like us also for us to come here. And you will notice that a lot of these endorsements are not loud. They are very silent. They're very strong. They happen when your client meets some other person and he's talking across a dinner table. It happens in these Lions Club meetings. It happens in their Rotary Club meetings. So what's really important is the first couple of engagements, wherever you engage with a client, do it passionately and don't worry. See, sometimes you would have signed up an engagement for a low fee. Don't feel bad about it. It's okay. Set the fee aside and say, I will give it my best. And today, whether it is a 10,000 rupee work or a 5 lakh work or a 10 lakh work, I try and put in that same kind of commitment. Over a period, you learn to price yourself better. That's a different issue. To your principals and your firms, a lot of principals themselves start giving work to people who've set up practice. But in this, I think it's also very important that you should maintain ethics. Any additional work that comes from that particular client, which is referred to your principal, should come through your principal. See, and today what also happens is if one reneges that commitment and faith, so one principal is there in the market, he's given work to one person who's quit from his firm. And if that one person makes a mistake and takes away that client, none of the other principals will want to do it in future. So it's also important that when you operate as a young member, you should try and remember that you're not just reflecting your personality, but you're reflecting a personality of everybody. And this is something I talk about in the sense of chartered accountants also. Yesterday, I did a presentation on shell companies for the Eastern region. It's only a few auditors who are perhaps errant, but look at somebody saying, oh, the entire audit profession. So your personal conduct as a young member is also very important. And I would, in this session, if there are any seniors who are also participating in this session, kindly request you to, give work to your juniors to see if they'd be able to deliver. And of course, there should be a complete knowledge of the client, understanding, and you don't, the precise term is poach. You should not poach. So you build that very healthy ethics and work culture. Now, again, there's a thing, your employers. So let's assume you were previously in a job. You've quit the job and come in. Then your employer himself can become a source of opportunity, professional opportunity for you. Your relatives and friends. How many of you have started this Excel sheet or Word sheet and said, this is the name of the person, this is his phone number. I'm going to call him this Monday, and every third Monday, I'm going to call him. Make a list of everybody you know. That's the first thing when I did practice. I made this list of 50 people whom I know and said, look, I'm in practice. So if you have any work and you can refer something to me, I'd be very happy to do it for you. This is not soliciting because you're going and talking to people who you know. See, and in all this, you remember this ICI code of ethics also. The code of ethics doesn't stop you from doing anything. If you are clear in your mind that you're respecting the code, then you are respecting the code. Just that you don't put a poster out saying contact for all this work, 100 rupees for this, 5,000 rupees for this. That's soliciting. Government and bank tenders. There are an enormous amount of websites where your government and bank tenders come in. LinkedIn, I found of late, is a good source of work. Institute forums, enquiries that come to you, empanelments, C&AG, bank audit empanelments. So don't give up. You keep on empaneling yourself. Let's wait for it to come. Concurrent audits. But remember one thing, if you're taking up something at a low fee, you should not complain about it later. You should not say, no. My logic is, it's your decision at that point in time whether to accept a concurrent for a certain low fee or not. But once you accept, there's no excuse to say why you will not do well. And if it requires that much commitment from your side, make that much commitment. So these are the broad sources of finding work. And today, I think it's a fairly large internet presence that everybody has. So it's really not difficult to find work. Now, just coming back to this professional practice to sort of understand, patience is the key. Rome was certainly not built in a day, not in a decade. It took centuries to make. Lifelong learning. So today, if at the end of all this, what your family says, what your critical self-assessment is, what stage of life are you in, what is your financial commitment, once you have decided to come into professional practice, these are your core principles. Patience is the key. Lifelong learning. Don't have a choice. Read one standard on auditing every night. 15 minutes it will take you. Read one accounting standards. 15 minutes it will take you. Read only how much you can read in 15 minutes. I try and do this meticulously now. I read something which is relevant to what the work I am doing now. Read the papers every day. Read the institute website. Pick up one area which, if you've decided to practice in direct tax, read the IT orders every day that come on the website. See Supreme Court orders. What to do? You have to be a lifelong learner because the compliance engagement everywhere is changing continuously. credibility first, money next. I think that's very important because you will realize that in this profession, the first thing you need is credibility. The moment you do that, the money just follows. Like they say, no, Saraswati comes first and then Lakshmi will come. But I don't know, but it'll hopefully work for you. Now, why do you do all this? I can very safely say, again, from a very personal experience, would I have been happier in industry? I think no. Practice has given me everything I would have imagined. I was able to write. I was able to tour out and speak to people. I was able to set up a learning portal. I was able to be in the regional council. I was able to be in the central council. And today I'm able to talk to Code, which is a sheer delight. And if I was in industry, this would have never happened. Yeah, maybe I'd have made a lot more money. I'd have possibly made it to be a CFO of some company. Who knows? I might have done an IPO in my life, which is, the biggest thing a CFO would do is to take his company to IPO. I have not done all of that, but then it doesn't matter. So the amount of professional satisfaction I've got when I see people clearing out of my firm, when I see my articles learning something, and when I believe that I'll be able to influence an ethical generation, I don't know how far, but one of my dreams has been to see a clean India during my lifetime. And if in some role I can be that little squirrel, I don't mind being that. It's given me a lot of professional satisfaction. I've been my own master. I can work from home, work from the beach, work from anywhere, as long as my work gets done. And there's nobody who's monitored my timing. There are days when I've gone to office at 6:10 in the morning. There are days when I've left office at 3 a.m. in the morning. There are days when I've left client offices at 5 o'clock the next morning. There are days when 3 days at a stretch, I have not even opened my computer. I have been my own master. And you will be your own master too. And of course, there's a huge role in nation building. As someone said, nobody takes a second opinion on a chartered accountant. And today, if in one good stock audit certificate, you've given saying, look, that stock is not there, the data are bad, you have saved one bad bank NPA. 20 crore stock certificate. Count the total number of correct stock certificates and book certificates that you have done. You've made a difference of 300, 400 crores to the economy. Which other profession can contribute so much? On the flip side, look at people, if they have signed 10 erroneous stock certificates and it's gone into bank NPA. See, there's no stock, and if somebody has certified something, then look at the amount of money the banker has lost. So here's a huge role in nation building. Another thing that you have to be very critical in your professional practice is on this charging of fees. So for this, in fact, I had built a template. I've unfortunately not brought it to today's presentation, but I can send it out to you. See, very simple. It's your costing that you have studied. This is, I think, very important. So how I had built this template was, I said, okay, what's my salary? Just say, okay, 6 lakhs you take it if you're a starting chartered accountant, or 8 lakhs per annum. Then you say, okay, I need to have CA inters whom I'm going to pay, let's say 25,000 a month. Just some hypothetical numbers. You calculate the total annual cost. 8 12s are 96. Let's say 8 lakhs. Plus 4 12s are 48. 4 lakhs per month is the cost of your support staff, your rent, everything. So, or let's keep it at 1 lakh. So 8 lakhs plus 1 lakh, 9 lakhs, 1.08 crores should be what you should recover. Now, this 1.08 crores, you don't recover over 365 days, correct? Because you're working only for 250 days. So 1 crore you divide by 250 days. So that should be, so what is 1 crore divided by 250 days? Let me just quickly get it. So I think it's 4,000 now. So that's your charge. You work out a charge out per man day. So then you decide, okay, I need to make a profit, correct? So I say I want to make a 25% profit. So you multiply into 1.25. Then you say, even in the 250 days excluding holidays, I will have some idle time. My staff will not be doing anything, correct? So let's assume 20% idle time. You increase that 4,000 rupees per man day into 1.25 into 1.2. And then you say, okay, Is this assignment an easy vanilla assignment? Leave it. I don't want a premium. But today I'm taking some risk in signing. It's very complicated work. Put in a complexity premium. So today if a client comes and tells you, look, I have some 3 days work and this thing has to be done, the charge out could be as high as 15,000 rupees per Monday into 45,000 rupees. Today you need to explain to your client how you are costing something. Now again, is it possible in all engagements? It's not possible. Is it possible in all practices? It's not possible. Is it possible for a startup to do it? It may not be possible. But you have to set that path. This is how you calculate a charge out rate. You need to have a time sheeting process. You must know if my article engaged, not engaged. Every day when I get my time sheet and I say, oh, so many people are not engaged, I try and go and find work in the market for these people. See, at some level, you run your practice as much as like you run a company. Run your own company, see, you're the investor. Now, we've decided all the fundamentals, framework. Yes, I want to practice. What are the key decisions I make in my practice? So today, by practice is a very wide word. I'm not going to talk about only a CA firm. I'm also going to talk about non-corporate, non-CA firm kinds of practice. Today, if you feel you're better off making a private limited company and not holding a COP also, it's okay. An institute also has this management services companies, management consultancy companies, which you can align with your audit firm. So whatever form of practice you find is good for you, take that form. Sole practitioner or institution building. I am not anyone to say that you can't be a sole proprietor. If you're great at, let's say, a particular mode of, for example, laws. You look at the biggest lawyers in the country, they all operate singly. It's a senior lawyer, that's it. If you have that kind of capability and you feel you can actually build something on your sole technical strength, it happens with a lot of these marketing gurus. They get hired for their individual competence. You can be a sole practitioner. You can be a sole practitioner with 20 employees under you. Doesn't matter. You're still successful. The other option is to build a practice, to build a partnership, to build an institution. I always chose the latter route because I was very scared. I said, what will happen if I fall sick? What will happen if I'm not there? In fact, somewhere from 2002 to 2008, I used to be a sole proprietor. I'd like to share a very personal experience with you. I used to be scared every time the phone rang. It was very difficult. I had a lot of work. And I think I was also young then and I didn't know how to pace myself. I remember going on a trip to Coorg. And every 1 hour, from that Mahindra resort or whatever, some place, Orange County, I would come to the end and make calls to 10 people and say, okay, did anybody call me? I used to be totally nervous. So I decided, sometimes letting go is the best thing. And even at that stage, it's not that I didn't want a barter. There was nobody who thought who wanted to join me. So it's important. But I think if you're looking to value your mental peace, you must get into healthy partnerships. And another thing, no, you can make a mistake. Some of us go about it unscathed. I have not had a bad experience. But some others I know have had a bad experience. But so what? As I told you, experience is the best teacher. New entity versus an existing entity. See, again, this was a benefit I didn't have. I didn't know too many firms on the day when I started out. So I ended up starting a firm myself. If this wisdom I had in hindsight, I would have actually joined another firm. I did attempt to join, but somehow things didn't work out because they were looking at a different profile. But if you think there are existing firms which are run by very senior chartered accountants who don't have others to take over, may not be a bad idea to join them. But you have to remember one thing. They have run their practice in a certain manner. So you can't join them and go like, bing. You have to go along with them, win their trust, and then take over that practice. And it's very important that everybody benefits in this financially. You can't say, no, sir, I'm going to do your work. You're not getting much. Please remember, in a professional services firm, the age matters. You should. If somebody is willing to take you and you run like a parallel track for some time and then converge, it's a good idea. Keep your mind open to it all the time. Today, tomorrow, anytime. And another thing, don't be very fanatic about your name in this practice. Don't say, I will join, I will have it, I want to be a name partner. No. Actually, unfortunately, when I started out, I was a sole proprietor. I used to run as Sripriya Kumar and Associates. And the first option, I changed it to SPR & Co. because I found that it was very difficult for me to market with my name. But others may have better experiences, but the only thing I'm trying to tell you is don't be very stuck. So it's okay to be in a partner. My partner who does the best in my firm, her name is not there in this SPR, but still we all feel connected. So that's the other thing. Some small things, look at a larger thing. See, today with COVID coming, we don't even know who's there. So reduce this baggage. Scale of investment, very important. See, one capital that you are anyway sinking is the money that you lost in employment, but that does not become capital. You have to invest a little bit. Not large money, but good enough money for a client to have some confidence. Have a small office, but have a very nice office. Even if it's a one room, 250 square feet office, it's okay. If I can get one wallpaper stuck on one side, bright lights, it's a sense of pride. And in fact, I visited, I think Calicut, all the offices that I've seen are very, very good looking. In fact, I don't know if it was Dawood's office. I don't remember. When I came there, a very young chartered accountant had put out such a nice place. Yeah, so it's not the size that matters, how it looks. And today when we're talking of investment, we're talking of investment in space, we're talking of investment in people, some minimum support. Of course, the smart thing is also to make it a little variable if possible. Some basic infrastructure. You don't have to go in for this high-end furnishings and all that. Don't. I mean, of course, if your father is willing to do all that for you, you should take it. A lot of parents are very nice and benevolent and they help us to do these things. If your spouse is willing to do it, please take it. All my offices until the last two were set up by my spouse and I was my good recipient. The other thing is good computers, good laptops, a good printer, a good scanner, basic. I think it's important, to have all this at your fingertips. Location of operations. That's a very important decision you're going to take. Today, I'm talking to members in Calicut. You decide, am I going to practice only in Calicut? In which case, you'll have to really figure out how to practice. Am I going to practice in Kerala? Why Kerala? Why can't I practice in Bangalore? Why can't I practice in Karnataka? What does it take for me? Can I be there 2 days a week in Karnataka and the remaining time in Kozhikode? By the time you spend 2 years spending two days a week in Bangalore, you bring up a good Bangalore partner and then you start operations. So location of services is very important. A lot of people in Kerala have great Gulf connections. Can you get work from the Gulf? That's something you must look at today. Because there could be cases where, Gulf is wanting to outsource somewhere. Might be willing to look at places like Calicut. So I think another thing that COVID has brought today is people are beginning to realize that you can get work done from anywhere. So an offsite location may not be a bad idea. Lines of services. I have a separate Excel sheet on this because this is sort of the core of my presentation. But we'll run through this later. Product organization or service organization. See, when I talk of current trends, when I was there, when I finished my CA in 96, it was all brick and mortar. Ford was coming in, Hyundai was coming in, huge factories were getting built. There were supplier parks that were being set up. We have one Mahindra park, huge investments in brick and mortar. Then by 2000 to 98, 2000, the dot-com started. And then they went burst also. So there was this age of click and grow. Now, everything has changed. It's an age of Uberization. How do you do business today? I find who's got free floating assets. Okay, I can see some free floating cars. Make Uber, make Ola, make an app, aggregate the asset, make money. I see your hotel room is not being occupied. Let's start an OYO. I see a lot of housewives who are willing to cook and supply. I can make a Garka Kana or whatever, a website and start. Can I find enough number of clients wanting to do accounting? Can I bring them on a software platform with a workflow and do accounting for 1,000 clients who have only 5 vouchers every day? Yes, I can. This is Uberization. Services will get Uberized. Can I do GST returns for 1,000 people? Yes, I can do. You have to decide whether you want to be a product company or a service company. See, why it's important is it's something like this. This is something I did early on. I said I will either do very simple things where I would only spend the first 3 days, set up the process and say, okay, please do. And somebody would meticulously do it and I'll get a dashboard. Or I said I will do only work at the higher end where my charge out rates were good. For a long time, my practice was subsidized by this high-end work that we used to do. And even today, sometimes you find that you don't need so many people and you'll make more money. But then you need to have a team. So that's important to understand whether you want to be a product company or a service company. So today, if you're going to do risk advisory, it's very difficult to do productized risk advisory. It's possible in today's day, even that seems possible with all this AI and things like that coming. And let me also demystify this for you. The artificial intelligence and all that, it's finally a human mind that's thinking and putting it into a technology. If you think you're capable of such thoughts to create products, I'm sure there are developers right in outside your office in Kozhikode who can help you to build these things at a very low cost. See, in a lot of the technology platforms today, there's a lot of freeware which is available, which is what developers use. So if you have to buy an Oracle database, but that's fine, that's later. So make that decision. And a good part is also to be a hybrid. Say, I will also do some products. So, and what's the advantage when you go tell a client, oh, I'm doing GST returns for 100 people. So if you're doing GST returns for one, no, it's a problem because you anyway have to read the whole GST. What is changing, what is not changing. So today, if you're doing Companies Act, if you're signing for companies, try and get more and more companies to sign. Because today you have to read Companies Act completely every day, keep looking at the circulars. May not be worth doing it for 2-3 clients. So how do you do that balance is very important. And these are some of the key decisions. Who do you want to engage? I'm not talking about partnership decisions yet, but these are some of the things that you might want to keep at the back of your mind in your journey of a professional practice. So now we've decided to practice. We made our key decisions. I decided what do I want to do. I want to be good in sales, good in GST. I'm going to do GST for. See, and the other advantage with this, the product-based practice is that it doesn't matter where your client is. It can be a young startup in Bangalore. You charge him only 2,000 rupees per month. Tell him, boss, every time you write a check, send it to me. Every time you get a bill, photograph and send it to me. I will finish your accounting. This is your workflow software. You just have to attach. I will receive it. I'll do the accounting and every evening I will give you the tally. Simple. And look at the number of entrepreneurs in India. Look at the number of small businesses. Huge. So don't charge them much, but it's easy for you. Something. But you have to do 1,000 like that. Then every day somebody has at least 1,000 vouchers to do. And then, and even today look at Tally. You don't have to go and data enter every voucher. Are you aware that Tally provides for auto upload feature? You can actually go create an Excel and it will automatically go and upload itself into Tally. Of course, for every client, you have to do it separately. So just imagine if I can integrate all of this and it just goes seamlessly. A good office. I described this before, a small but a nice office. Good basics. You need a website. You can build your own website. In fact, I did one in about 2 hours time. And again, Institute has some norms on how to and what to do and what not to do in a website. So you can get this done. Brochures. Some good brochures. Don't spend effort printing unless somebody wants it. Most of these brochures are e-brochures. Again, you can go to Canva or a lot of these websites where freeware is available. A lot of times, in fact, we have somebody in our firm who does PPTs professionally. But then I prefer to do it myself because, you have a certain thought process. Every time you see a good presentation, get your article assistant to replicate the slide. So, for example, in my presentation, if you find this box is looking nice, you please ask somebody to put this box and keep it. So, I have over a period of time built some 500 slides like this. So, every time I do a PPT, I just pick and choose and do this. See, that's what distinguishes. See, people keep saying big firm, big firm. What do big firms do? They do all this. They are also going and saying we can do statutory audit. You are also saying I can do statutory audit. How they say it, how we say it is a difference. How do they give their reports? Do we print well? Do we color? Alignments, fonts, small things, but they make a difference. Build a solid team. Whether it is a paid assistant or a partner, you need to have a solid team and you have to invest in your team. See, that's where sometimes it's very important to let go. You have to decide whether, as the managing partner, it's quite possible that you make less money than somebody else in your firm. It happens in a lot of firms. It happens even in my firm, and I'm fine with that. So it's really okay. It all depends on how you are willing to share and how which who does better. So just don't get into this. You just think about, can I make a large pie? Can I do what excites me? How do I share my money? Can I be giving with my money? And I fundamentally believed in one thing in life: the more you give, the more you make. So it follows, and I think it's a precept of the earth. Standardization. So this is where a lot of smaller firms new firms end up spending time. Today, you must print one engagement letter format. Your article assistant can fill up the engagement letter. It should be the same format. Every time you can't get one new engagement letter. It will have backgrounds, the executive summary, background, terms of reference, methodology, fees, confidentiality, deliverables, signature, for client, for audit firm. This is my standard engagement letter, Arial 11, everything print set right. Whatever your client's work is, you just need to copy paste that and standardize the format. Standardize a brochure format. Statutory audit report format, get the proper format, keep it. Put all these in a Dropbox. Create a Dropbox for your firm. For example, I don't know how many of you use Dropbox. There are multiple technologies available. And I think up to a certain space, it's free. So you can create a Dropbox and give everybody access to that Dropbox and say, okay, put it here. So standardization is very, very important. Make audit programs. Structure out audit programs. In fact, I have done audit programs for the entire statutory audit cycle. I'll send it to Doer and maybe he can send it to you. The fixed assets means this is all has to be done. So it helps you to do three things. Your client is very impressed because you're coming in with standard checklists. 2, you have control because 80% of the work is done by your article. You can manage by exception. 3, it's a huge time saver. And 4, you can work anywhere. You can call your client and say, just go to that. You can call your article and say, please, it's there in the Dropbox. Can you just modify this profile and put it there itself? Helps you. Staff training. I think it's very important. There are lots of modules which are available today. A lot of speakers are speaking. You need to curate it for your article, and you need to come and put it inside a Dropbox and make sure that they go through it. Anything that you come across, put yourself in a WhatsApp group with your articles. Start sharing with them. Training is not just sitting in one classroom and saying, okay, today we are going to talk about essay 705. No. Training is what happens every day, what you impart continuously. It could be a newspaper article. Ask them to note down what they've learned. Small things that existed in the firms of the past, but I don't think we have that kind of time, but I think it's very important. And I'll also tell you one thing. These are things what attaches your articles to your firm. They feel very passionate. They feel very important that you've done this for them. Be available to your client. So again, I know some of my friends who say after 8, I don't take calls, but I generally, look, if a client is calling you, he has a problem. Pick that call. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are difficult, some of them are easy to handle, some of them know more than you, some of them know less than you. They come in all shapes and sizes, but a client is a client. The only part where I will stop a client is where he is unethical or he wants me to do something unethical. That's it. Other than that, I think a client is as important to me as my family. Constant client engagement. This is one mistake we do. He came to me last September for filing his company statutory audit. Until the next September, we don't see him. Why? So suppose you have 30 clients. Why don't you make a schedule? First of the month, I will call this client. You won't believe how happy a client feels when you call him, especially during this COVID time, and tell him, so just call to figure out how you're feeling. Just send a WhatsApp. Just wanted to let you know we're there for you. That's it. And sometimes on these calls, you'll end up collecting also if any dues are pending. It's important. Network with trade and industry bodies. Extremely important today. See, today ours is a profession. Nobody knows you. The only way somebody spots you is in a lot of these forums. When you come to the institute. In fact, this is something I have to share with the chairman also. See, when you're running these CPE programs, whenever you run a CPE program, call somebody from the industry as a special invitee or as your guest, because they will understand that as a fraternity, we are doing so much. When I was a CPA chairman, I found that those were very important learnings for me. I don't think there's no other professional body in India that does so much structured CPA across a country. Huge number of man hours that he spent in learning. Today you call somebody, he need not be anything big, but today you're exposing him to a fraternity, somebody who's professional. Today when he wants to put an accounts manager, he will think 4 times. Should I just hire a general accounts manager, or should I put a chartered accountant? Should I engage a chartered accountant to do only a 3-day review? See, these engagements are becoming very popular. It's called a virtual CFO. You can say that I will spend 2 days with you every month and this is my fee. I will do these things for you. So many clients don't even update their accounts every month and they don't even know that their accounts are not updated. I've met so many small hospitals, small manufacturing enterprises. I don't know. I didn't even know I had to update my accounts every day. I said, then what is your accountant doing? He says, I don't know what my accountant is doing. Opportunities. Publications. And today, with the internet, everybody is an author. With the COVID, everybody is a doctor. With the internet, everybody is an author. You have an iPhone, that's enough. Prepare, make a speech, record, do bites. See, the only thing is you can't publicize and say, look, my name is so-and-so, so-and-so, I'm a chartered accountant. I'm going to, please come to me for work. That's not allowed. But today, if you want to speak about a small amendment in the law, and you want to speak in Malayalam, even better. I think a lot of the work that we do, if it has to reach our clients and for us to become important, make videos in Malayalam. Speak. Tell them today this GST has changed. You don't know. You send it to your professional associates WhatsApp groups. From there on, it will start picking up. But nothing should be advertising. Please be very clear about it. And one thing why I encourage these self videos is because you learn in the process. Today, when I make a 3-minute video, but of course, most of my videos are circulation only to chartered accountants. And today it's okay even to share with fellow chartered accountants because you're learning, your knowledge sharing journey starts from there. Write in your LinkedIn profile. So many people are connecting to you on LinkedIn. So somebody is bound to read what you've written. So you must have publications to your credit. You must have newsletters. You must have articles. I see a lot of firms doing newsletters. We don't. But I've seen firms doing newsletters and circulating it to their clients strictly only for, internal circulation. Right? And they put some knowledge updates. What's new in income tax? Just like the institute newsletter, you can publish a newsletter. And it takes 1 day of effort for one article. That's all. Next, we come to the most important thing. What are my service lines? So today, again, you can choose to be a specialist practice or a generalist practice. You can, but logically, unless, see, and I'll tell you another very interesting insight. The best partnerships are those which are made on day 1 of your CA. There are 3 people sitting together saying, okay, boss, let's make a practice. Those are the most solid partnerships that are forged. After that, everything where one person has started a partnership and another joined, all that is a second stage partnership. The 3 people who come together to start a practice, who are, getting their tea at 10 o'clock and they're waiting for the first client to happen. You raise your first bill, you share equally 1/3. Then you move into your next larger office, you hire your first article, then you hire your first qualified, you see your first article passing out of your firm. Those golden moments forge partnerships which are incalculably valuable. After that, when you're trying to grow, it's all, there's a lot of mindset alteration and things like that. So this is a very important point you need to remember, because you can never make an optimal partnership later. But yes, it works. Your GMCS batchmates, your own batchmates from the firm with whom you spent time talking even during your CA. But as a firm, what do? Your service line, statutory audit certifications, you can choose as one domain. Internal audit, concurrent audit, risk management services. Consulting, business advisory services, cost optimization. Direct tax, international tax. Indirect taxes, GST. See, in all this, there's nothing that I don't know. Today, if you choose to become a specialist in Companies Act, all you need to do is buy a good Ramaya, stay open on the Google, buy one good copy of the Small Companies Act. You'll be an expert on Companies Act in 4 months. That's all it takes. Reasonably to be able to start advising clients. International indirect taxes and GST, automation ERP implementation, startup advisory, business plans, due diligence, valuation, funding assistance, accounting, bookkeeping, statutory audit assistance and return filing, forensic and audit fraud prevention. I forgot to add secretarial services. See, some of you may be company secretaries also, so you might do it. Let me tell you something that I came across very recently. You know, I don't know how many of you follow this when you do this audit, but a lot of companies have got struck off in India. The number is supposed to be as high as some 6 lakhs is what I read somewhere. MCA has struck off because they've all not filed their returns. There's a huge opportunity to restore those companies. I don't know if anybody's gotten into it. The next is forensic and fraud prevention. Again, what is very important is productize your offering. If you're doing something for somebody, standardize it. Uberize your service. How can I make it replicatable? And in all this, the most important thing is stick to your code of ethics. Your code is actually your personal code, which will actually be stronger than the ICAI code. But do read the ICAI code because that will tell you what are the key do's and don'ts, and then you operate on that guidance, but be confident. See, don't get scared for everything. It's not needed. Work confidently, but stay within the code precepts. Now, I'm going to show you a little Excel template where I'll share this again with the branch. Is the screen visible? The screen is visible? Screen is visible? It was? Yeah. I had actually done this ages back. So some of this is not VAT registration, it is GST registration. But I pulled it out today. I had actually done this for my firm, like a budget. And for a couple of our friends, when we were sitting and talking, I said, okay, how do you build a practice? So I listed out something like 115 lines of services that I can do under some broad headings, about 20 headings. So let's just go through this. See, today, how does a big company, let's take a Ford or a Hyundai, how do they make a business plan? They first say, okay, how many cars can I sell in India? What's the revenue per car that I will make for the category, A category, B category, C category? How much does it cost to make a car? Same thing. Can I make a budget for my firm? Can I say, okay, broadly, these are the services. So let's assume you can do entity formations and registrations. You can help people create partnerships, companies, LLPs, PAN applications, TAN applications, GST registrations, SENVAT, so no SENVAT, label or registrations and compliance, import-export code, SEZ, STPIs, branch office foreign company, liaison office. I can add one more. RBI has something called as a project office of a foreign company. All this is possible. Do I need to be in Chennai or Bangalore to do this? No. If you know somebody who's kind of set up an office in India, the client is quite happy to engage with anybody who can help him to set up a project office. Now, how many of us have read the FEMA regulation? That's where the point comes. So if you've read the FEMA regulation, then you know there is something called as a project office. That's all I'm trying to say. So the more you read, the more you're able to come up with this an idea. So these are the kind of entities that you can help people to set up. There are unincorporated joint ventures. You can, all this, the landscape is sort of expanding. Next is drafting of deeds and documents. See, somewhere along the line, we need to engage with clients, especially those clients which are into the contracting industry. Everything goes into arbitration. They will say, I have done so much. He will say, no, you've not done so much. It goes into arbitration. How many of our clients understand the need to have robust contracts? Sometimes I myself have seen the client asks me to sign one engagement letter and says the arbitration will be in Delhi. Why will I go to Delhi? The client is in Chennai. So I tell the boss, please change the place of arbitration to Chennai. There could be contracts where somebody engages you as an audit firm and says you will be liable. What will I be liable? I will be liable to the extent of the fee I collect. I cannot be liable beyond that. So how many of our customers or clients understand the importance of contracts? This is again something that you will have to tell them. Sir, can I have a look at your purchase order? Oh, this. No, you should not raise a purchase order like this. You should hold the vendor more accountable. Service level agreements, vendor contracts, customer contracts, other documents. Most of them are operating on expired contracts. There is no legal recourse. And I also want chartered accountants to change this fundamental mindset. You don't want to do preventive, but today you want to go to a lawyer and they spend a lot of money on litigation. So today, if you can engage with the client and say, sir, why are you having so much litigation cost? Can I have a look? Can I find out what is the root cause? Can I help you to address that? And ongoing, can I monitor compliance? I think compliance will become a big thing. Income tax, of course, I'm sure all of you will know more on this than I do. Tax planning, advanced tax calculation, tax return preparation, tax computation, assessment assistance, appearance for assessment, opinions, tax audit, foreign taxation, search and seizure work, transfer pricing. All this is possible in income tax. So today and again, you can network. See, suppose you're doing something, give some work to another friend in your client. It doesn't matter. Similarly, let them refer to you. So if you are very good at something, you can do it for more people. Service tax, opinions. So this must be GST. Opinions on taxability of services, computation, input tax credits, monthly returns, certification of refunds, other certifications, etc. GST, okay. In fact, I remember now, this was done after GST was implemented, but the erstwhile was still running as in the old assessments, etc. So we had put it in. GST, registration of entities, training on GST. Even today, a lot of clients don't know. So can I do some amount of training on GST? Impact assessment. Every time there is a change, how is it impacting my client? Do we engage with the client? So today there is some change in the law in GST. You know what are your clients where it's going to hit them. Can I call them and tell them, boss, this is going to impact you. Would you like me to do an impact assessment? See, and again, there's also a very delicate situation. If I have an audit, I mean, how do you, there's the other thing is as a statutory auditor, you cannot do several other services. So don't even try to do it, give it to somebody else. Similarly, if somebody else is a statutory auditor, he is not allowed to do certain services, which creates the excess for the Companies Act. So you give it to somebody else. We can offer HR assistance, employee records document audit, payroll preparation, tax return filing, placement assistance, tax planning. All this you can do for employees. How many of us are attempting to do this? I see in some large companies in Chennai, people, audit firms actually set up desks and they offer to do it. And you know, something I've noticed, in my own case, I've never paid attention to my return. But we have one very good partner who's very good in income tax. The moment he started looking at all this, he was able to save us a lot of money. Similarly, bank work, what can you do? Concurrent audits, stock audits, income and expenditure audits, pre-disbursement audit, post-disbursement audit, corporate debt restructuring audits, all these are available. In fact, this is something I've also been telling the institute. Any borrower above 5 crores must get his accounts, must get his company or entity internal audited by a chartered accountant. It will save the banking system so much. Today, it's up to us to convince banks, branches to do it and let the borrower only pay for this. See, if he's availing a facility of 5 crore, 10 crore, can't he spend a small money? And here today, how much am I going to do? I will have a 30, 40 point standard checklist. In fact, I would like to draw your attention to one particular RBI fraud circular. It says there are some early warning signals. For example, if your client, a bank's client has defaulted in PF due, that is supposed to be the first sign of default, a trigger for an insolvency situation or a case of a borrower default or an NPA. Banks don't even have structured returns where they get that data. The borrower at the end of the year sends something, but there is no standard So these are areas where banks can actually convince, chartered accountants can convince banks to give them work. Which again, today you don't engage a chartered accountant. It's like, I don't put a road because I love the road. I put a road because I want to travel on the road. So today when somebody is engaging a chartered accountant to do work like this, it's saving them a loss in the long term. Statutory audit. So one is to do statutory audit itself. Now, in a lot of cases, the statutory audit, see, and again, please, if you're the statutory auditor, please note that you can't do accounts preparation and all for your client. That has to be done by somebody else. So somebody can do prepare the schedules, prepare the accounts, because most of our clients don't even have qualified chartered accountants who are capable. In fact, I have had challenges where somebody could not understand that this is an accounting standard. Another huge change that has to happen in India, even for large companies, they say you have to appoint a KMP. More than 10 crore paid up share capital, you have to appoint a KMP. But it does not. The KMP has to be a CEO, CFO, CS, and a whole-time director. But while CS is compulsory, nobody is saying the CFO has to be a chartered accountant. So anybody can be a CFO today, or a non-financially qualified person also. Preparation of schedules for statutory auditors. RBI Forex related, you can do work. Opinions, filing of documents, compliance certification. See, and for all this, whenever you see any interesting question on WhatsApp, start reading about it. This is, I learned most of my FEMA like that. When somebody asks a question, you try and go and dig deeper and find out what is the issue, then, you start picking up something. Standard operating procedures, you can draft SOPs for clients. A lot of clients, especially when they are transitioning from the previous generation. See, the father would be about 70, 75 years old and he would have a trusted clerk working with him. The son is much younger, 30, 35 years old. They are the kind of people who will want standard operating procedures. We can draft SOPs. We can do SOP compliance audits. We can do share valuations. I would not go too much into business and intangible valuation. But yes, share valuations, attest engagements, statutory audits, limited reviews, certifications, royalty certification, 195, section 195 certification. A lot of the work does not have to happen only in the metros, it can happen anywhere. Due diligence. See, one very interesting thing I have found is this SME M&A. There are not too many people. So think about your client who's volunteering to sell, wanting to buy. And I don't mean a statutory audit client. I'm looking at a client. Are there people in Calicut? Are there people in Kerala who have excess money? So somebody says, look, I've got 5 crores. I want to buy a good unit. Can we help him buy that unit? I think this is where a lot of value gets added. Now, especially with this insolvency code coming in, how many of us are tracking the resolution plans? How many of us are telling our clients, oh, all these companies seem to be available. Are you interested? Are you interested in selling? Are you interested in buying? Are we looking at a PE investment? Your client is running a 50 crore company. How much debt will he take? Ask him to stop taking debt. Is he willing to dilute a part of his equity? Can I get an investor for you? Can we get somebody else, a technical partner from abroad? Think. Help your client to grow. And in that, your own growth gets assured. Fraud. I think this is now turning out to be a good area for working. Fraud risk assessments, fraud reviews. Now, again, for all this, how do you come into? Now, you can ask me one question. You've put so much. Are you working in all these spaces? No, I'm not. Why? Because I myself don't know who to go and ask for this kind of work. It's the same challenge, but I'm doing 25 things out of this. So that's the nice part. You will find the 25 things that you will be able to do in this. And you will know that you will know other people. So today, if you need any help on how to do a fraud risk assessment, I'm always there. I will help you. Not at all an issue. So you will know, okay, and today I know that if I get something on income tax, I can actually call up somebody and ask a question. So staffing assistance, that's also becoming quite famous. So some of your articles, you can second them to companies for 2 months, 3 months to do some accounting work so that they'll also get to learn. Internal audits, management audits, operations audits. So today we're talking about management audit. Let's say your client is manufacturing something. You can do a management audit. Why are you buying so much inventory? Don't buy so much inventory. Buy it slowly. Is this the best source you're buying your inventory? You're asking your manager to make this decision. Is he getting competitive quote? You're doing a truck. Why are you taking this truck by doing a manual order? Why don't we do a truck placement from one of those truck on or whatever, those portals where your truck cost could be cheaper? Demonstrate to your client that there is a lower cost to doing business. Clients love it. Similarly, FEMA related compliance, consulting, anti-money laundering. Then there's this huge thing of business consulting, cost optimization, financial. How many of your clients have a budget? Sir, do you have a budget? See, all these engagements don't start paying from day one. You establish a rapport with the client. Show him one small Excel sheet. Show him, sir, this is how you make a budget. Are you willing to engage? Capital structure planning, working capital management. How do I tell my client? Receivables management. Sir, every Friday I will give you a list of receivables to follow. Please follow up and receive it. See, you can't do this as a statutory auditor because it is a management service. So be very careful on these conflicts. Help your client to build dashboards. So that's something we've gotten into recently. We just picked up something and we started doing dashboards. So if your client wants to know across my hospitals, what is my change, then I can give him in a dashboard. So try and figure out, you have to keep experimenting and growing every day. Preparation of cash budget, cash flow statement, profitability statements, budgeting, inventory management. You don't do inventory management for a client because that's not your core, but you can monitor how he's doing it. Do a depot operations checklist. Tell him safety, security, health. Your clients, lot of your clients who are in, let's say, an FMCG business will get orders. Somebody will put the phone down and forget to document that order. So I have lost a sale. This is what you do in your management and your operations audits. You find out from that point, oh, is my client tracking an order? Why was I not able to service that order? That is what your client is interested in. Your client is interested in maximizing revenue and minimizing cost. Audit is incidental. So in the business consulting, that's what you come up. Personnel, recruitment, selection. A client might come and ask you, look, is my payroll looking okay? Tell me. You would have hired 600 people at different points of time, each one with a different salary. Can I help them to rationalize the salaries? In fact, this whole thing which I have put in, system analysis design. So client is saying I'm 100 crores. Can he afford to be on Tally? Manufacturing? No. He has to move to an ERP. Why? Because that's the other thing I'm very nervous about Tally is because you can change, alter everything. Offers no significant protection unless audit logs are properly embedded in Tally. And whatever you're doing, you have to implement fully. That's very important. So your client wants to go into an ERP. Somebody is coming and telling him, oh, you pay 1 crore, I'll set up something for you. Tell him, no. Have you looked at the various ERPs which are available? Let me help you to evaluate. Can I make your business blueprint document? The quality audits and all this we don't do. But this is all from this MCS guidance. There was one particular note which was issued by the institute on what is management consulting services. So I had picked it up from there. Of course, insolvency resolution is turning out to be a big thing, but you need to have some minimum years of qualification to become an RP. But I think you need only 3 years to become a valuer. So I hope most of you are writing your valuer exams. So these are some of the things that I thought are service lines for a chartered accountant. I will clean the sheet up and I will have it sent to the chairman of the branch. So how do I make a budget? So you start putting, okay, I want to get at least 5 statutory audit clients this year. I want to get at least 20 tax audit clients this year. Then once you make a budget, you can start. See, another thing is also, do you have to look for all this within Calicut? No, not necessarily. See, and also, I also think, you should, personally, you don't go and pull off from somebody else's engagement. Try and build new relationships. They're far more helpful and they're far more long-term. So coming back to my slides. So where did we start? So we've been through a very brief thing on service lines. Now we come to this decision on a partnership. How do you enter into a partnership? Very, very difficult question, but you have to bite the bullet at some time. See, I'll tell you which is an easy partnership. Mine was an easy partnership. I'll tell you why mine was an easy partnership, because I knew only how to do internal audits. I didn't know much other things. I was not into direct tax at all. I didn't know indirect tax. So I was strongly into risk advisory. So for me, when people came in, they came with a different set of expertise and I could integrate them easily. So today, you also know that you're very good at something. Bringing in a partner to do something else is easy. And from day one, you'll have to start sharing your. So today, if somebody is practicing in GST and somebody's got a lot of tax audits, I think it's a great partnership. Because slowly you can say, okay, fine, let us both do our work. But what is important is the ethical framework has to be the same. Because today, if one of the partners is not ethically oriented, it affects the firm. It affects the name of the firm. So that's the only thing you need to look at. Sharing clients' fees, expenses. So, and again, I'll tell you, when you're trying to make a partnership, in all my efforts to build people, partnerships, I have only insisted on one thing. I said, we have to sit in one place. Trying to build a partnership where one person is sitting in another office, I am sitting in one office, you be the one to move. You say, no problem, boss, I will come and move in with my team into your place. Make the other partner feel comfortable. Give him the largest room in your office. Because remember, he is coming to be with you or she is coming to be with you. And these are small things where you say somebody, and I'll tell you something in my mind, it's not the biggest room that makes you the partner or the perceived to be the biggest partner. No. I think if you leave me, I'm very comfortable in a nice small room shaded with, my blinds on. I'm very happy. Over a period, maybe, you will learn that it's not positions that get you respect. It's how you carry yourself and how much giving you are that gets you respect. Similarly, when somebody joins you, please remember they are also very nervous. Tell them no questions asked. This is your monthly offtake. Take it. Take 6 months. Spend your time. Understand the market. The money will start coming. Especially when people quit from industry and come into practice, they don't know how to practice and it takes them some time. Okay, it's worked for me very successfully. People are very comfortable. They're very happy. And don't keep counting every day. Oh, no work is coming through that person. No. You be the one to bring in work. That's the essence of a true partnership. And when you build and forge partnerships, when you give more than you're expecting to receive, they are partnerships for life. I can tell you with utmost conviction, when 3 years I was not at all, I never came to my office when I was in the central council. But still my practice ran and they did very well. And I have never gone and solicited government work. In fact, we do no work with the government. And in a manner of speaking, this year, although my cooling was over, we've not even got a bank statutory audit. So it's not at all important and nobody expects these things from you. But today I know that if I have a problem, I just have to call my partner and it will work. And if at all I think I've been successful in something, I think I've been successful in this. How to select a partner. Complementing skills. You have great marketing capabilities. Pick a partner who's good in execution. You have great team building skills. Pick a partner who's got great technical skills. You cannot travel, pick a partner who can travel. You can travel, pick a partner who can't travel. And I think if you are willing to live with some time restrictions, look at very stable women partnerships, because you will find that when the children are young, everybody wants to go home at 4 o'clock. So it's okay. But I can tell you, some of my partners are also women. They deliver exemplarily with one child going to college, another child only in the 5th standard or something. I don't want to mention her name, but she manages so beautifully. And she had quit another firm and joined us and she's a partner now. Give people that leeway. Be giving, but be clear. Say, yes, these are my terms. I'm very happy to give. And don't make make this nice. And you have another choice, is to network. Now this network is slightly easy and slightly complicated. What does the networking rule tell you? It tells you 5 people can come together and create a network. So you leverage on each other's strengths. So let's assume I start a network called SPR network. You join me from Calicut. Now, you can say you're part of this network, but you cannot service my client. Where I am the statutory auditor, you cannot do any proscribed services. But we can grow together. What does it give me? SPR says, okay, I now have a presence in Calicut. I have a network partner. I get 10 points when my client is evaluating me mentally. Today, you in a network say, oh, I'm part of SPR, and SPR is a firm. They have been there for 20 years. They know they have something, so I can always look up to them for guidance. Great. It's a win-win relationship. But financially, how you will work this out with your network is between you and your network partner. Now, what can happen in a network? I can keep thinking, oh my God, this person must be using my name. Then you can be thinking they're saying, oh my God, I've not got any work because of this big name. But they must be telling people that they have something in Calicut and they must be getting. So that trust issue is something you need to work out in a network. But I think network is a great idea for eventually very large firms to happen. In fact, it's a very interesting thought. I can go back to the institute and find out how many networks became large firms. Did they manage to set up firms? Of course, this international networking is still very gray, so I can't really comment on it. But local networking, I think there are guidelines. Now, in all these partnerships, see, one thing nice about being a young member is that you're young. So, it's even for myself, I come with, and that age gives you that confidence and that, one swag when you walk. And it teaches you that mistakes will happen and they're not irreversible. It's okay. One bad partnership decision. It's okay. Doesn't matter. I knew somebody who had gotten into a bad partnership and exited, and the client this person came and told me, you know what my client told me, Priya? They said, it's okay. You've made this mistake. Wherever you are, we would have come to you. And she said, I felt so proud of myself that day. So your client will always be yours if you've been nice to them and you've been, correct. So mistakes can happen in partnerships. That's no reason why you should not get into partnerships or should not attempt. And as they always say, your ship is very safe in the harbor, but it's not meant for that. And I mean this both in a personal and in creating a partnership sense. Personally also you can say, no, I want to be here. I want to do this. There's another very important word. It's called ambition. How ambitious are you? And again, people keep saying, women cracking glass ceilings. I'm saying, why are you asking everybody to break the glass ceiling? You don't have to make. I'm very happy not breaking it. Why not? I'm just sitting there and saying, if I think it's worth it, I'll break it. If it's not, for me. So you have to again calibrate your ambition. And again, you must respect that in a partnership. I know partnerships which are very successful and very happy, where one partner works 18 hours, one partner works only 6 hours. He's saying, I'm happy. As long as you are clear that effort and reward will go along hand in hand, you should go ahead and forge your partnerships. In fact, I don't know how many sole proprietors in Calicut, but if a couple of sole proprietors can come together and make partnerships, you will find that it'll be hugely beneficial. One direct advantage is week 1, partner A can travel. Week 2, partner B can travel. Week 3, partner C can travel. So 4 people traveling to market on behalf of your firm or to meet clients on behalf of your firm is a huge advantage, instead of one person, and you can't travel every week. So my end state is you must look at partnerships or networking unless you've decided to be that sole specialist in some area which you're extremely competent to do. Like let's say FEMA, you could become India's best FEMA consultant sitting in Kozhikode. You will get known. Take that call and move ahead. So this is something that I believe is a practice roadmap. What happens? Again, if you want, I'll even leave this in PowerPoint itself. This particular slide alone, please put it. Where do you want to be? So with practice stroke personal roadmap also you can make. 0 to 5 years you set up, 3 to partner firm. Basic income is maintained. For the first 5 years in practice, your practice will be lower than industry. 6 to 10 years, you establish a good work culture. You don't need to go to office, but your office will still run. Get some stable clients. See, one of the things I didn't do is to build a statutory audit practice. So for us, it's every year we get engagements. We are more a consulting practice, but it's good to build annuities. It's good to build retainerships. Greater than 10 years, greater than 10 partners, that's when you actually exceed industry pay levels. See, and I'll tell you today, there is another big reason to practice. A lot of people are losing their jobs. So you're actually in a pretty stable zone also, because of the COVID, there is this lockdown and organizations retrenching people. And see, the problem in ITES is also, sort of important. Slowly automation is catching up. So if I can automate more and more tasks, I don't need people to do it. And there's a huge redundancy that sets in. And when you spend too long in the industry, you don't know what's happening in the rest of the market. I find a lot of people, unfortunately, who are out of their jobs and who are trying to evolve and figure out what to do. So from that perspective, practice is security. You start slowly, you build stably, and you thrive very prosperously by the time you're 45, 50. So that's a practice journey. So how does the future look to me? I think, forget COVID for now, but I think all around there's tremendous buoyancy. See, and when people talk about, nationally there is a depression, whatever, deflation. Look at, can't you find 100 clients? I'm sure you can find 100 clients. I see a huge opportunity for the rise of small and medium businesses. I think it's going to catch up in a big way. Sorry about that. Automation. A lot of SMEs will want automation. I think all firms, youngsters, and that's nice about this millennial generation. A lot of people would have been born in the late, early 90s, 90, 2000, 2010. Yeah, it was bulk of the people in this seminar would be born after 95, I think. Correct? No, 90. Okay. Yeah, okay, 95 plus. I find that technology comes very naturally to this generation. What takes me so long, it took me 3 days to understand how to change my channels and my TV, and my son gets it right in 10 seconds. And even today for this seminar, the web setup and the Zoom and all that, I think you have a natural advantage. Move to automation-based work. Forensic and preventive fraud prevention services will grow. There'll be a lot of Uberization, including Uberization in terms of how we work. Value-added services rather than audit. And I think clients will be willing to engage for compliance services. How many of us have thought of a simple compliance dashboard? Every month I will come to you and check whether you've done these 10 compliances. Why should you engage me to do this? Because if you don't engage me, you're going to pay penalties much, much higher than my audit cost. First level is to do compliance services by sending somebody. Second month, can I again send somebody? Third month, I send my article. I don't go. Fourth month, can I put it in Dropbox? Can I work offline? Can I work remote? Eighth month, can I set up a product where I automatically alert his clerk to come and put it on my portal saying, yes, we have filed PF return. This is the way in which your technology actually catches up and helps you to automate your work. So largely reached the end of my presentation. So it's been about an hour of 45 minutes of very animated talking. So, and once again, thanks very much. And so I'm very, very open to taking questions now. And thanks so much to everybody for staying on. Every time I come in the middle and see this chat and see how many number of participants. So, over to the chairman. Hello. How to change that? 1 minute. Yeah, I can see more. Yeah, make host. Done. Done.
Thank you, madam, for excellent presentation. So it was a marathon session, almost 1 hour 45 minutes. Thank you for your energy and your interest in enlightening members. So shall we take some few questions, madam?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually looking at this.
Yeah. So if
So I'm seeing the chat.
so, you can if any member have any questions, you can raise your hands in the chat box and unmute. Then you can have a conversation.
In fact, I've got the questions. I'm just trying to read them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. One question in the chat box.
Yeah, there's a question from Adila who's asking, what would be your advice to the trend of CAs starting practice and dropping it early? See, it's a very, so what? It's okay. I mean, if you're going to find a job, it's good. See, that's what I told you. Nothing, in fact, I'll tell you something. It's very interesting that you asked this question. We've all grown in a generation where we are taught not to fail. When I was young, in some sense, my mother was an exception, but you're constantly told, no, do something that's safe, get into engineering, do this. Today, the trend has reversed. I know people who run startup companies where very bright kids from, let's say, IIT and all started a company, failed, they come back and they get hired. Their failure today is applauded. So if you've started a practice and it's not taken off, great, no issues. Today, the way a potential employer looks at you is different because you come with far more maturity than somebody who hasn't even tried. So if you're asking me, if somebody comes to my office and says, I tried to practice, it didn't work out for me, I'll tell him, boss, be with me for 2 years, I'll commit a partnership. That's my response. Next is, so it's okay. So just experiment and grow. Ismail, some of my seniors in the CA fraternity say that our profession is such that the clients connect with the person more than the firm. This acts as against the concept of delegating work. How do you advise to deal with this? So I think one is to build an amazing team. If you hire people smaller than you intellectually, you will be a small firm. If you hire people bigger than you intellectually, you'll become a big firm. So when you hire somebody, you must let go, teach them, make them more empowered. So today, if you're a partner of a firm, you should first allow your assistant to speak to the client when you're taking him to the meeting. And then you add, and then the client gets confidence. And see, some clients, that's your blue chip clients. Even today, there are some clients who call only me. But that's something you live with. Because they are the clients who are my first clients. And whatever I'm doing, I'll pick that call. So it's not delegating work, it is sharing work. So any other questions?
Yeah, one more question from Ismail TK.
Yeah.
How has LinkedIn helped you in your practice? Can you give some tips for making our profile more attractive without soliciting work and violating the code of ethics?
Yeah. So in LinkedIn, first of all, I might have, okay, LinkedIn helps you in two methods. One is my professional profile is there. Everybody's professional profile is there. Two, the articles that you write, the presentations that you put out, you can update. You connect with professionals on LinkedIn, which includes a lot of your old friends. So if you have a very active LinkedIn, you're in somebody's mind all the time. And today, I think LinkedIn is what everybody is using to look at resumes and stuff like that. So this, see today, let's assume my client has a small stock audit to be done, a depot audit. So he'll say, oh, let's find somebody to give this assignment here. Who is this? Okay. Oh, Priya's card is on the table. So you get a lot of work like that. So it helps you to stay on somebody's mind. So that's one example. And secondly, if you're able to put out extremely scholarly original articles, there is a very serious readership for such articles. Suppose you write something very strong and then they come back to you and say, Madam, I saw your opinion on this. What do you think? Can we engage? Possible. Oh, Mujib, your Excel sheet is very good. We are doing this work only on the ground audit fee. How do we collect fees for all services? So can I just check if I can find that, in which case I'll run that presentation through you. Just give me a minute. If I'm able to locate it, then okay. So I'm going to share something. Can you disable me?
Yes.
So this is one Dropbox where I'd actually done an app. I still think it exists. I have my practice essentials. So when you do your practice essentials, I have done something called as a fee template guide. I'll send this to you. This is one of my early works. This is a simple fee calculator. So first I put my salary cost. Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So how did I calculate my salary? Partner A, partner B, partner C, some amount I put. Paid assistant, article. My total cost is 47 lakhs per annum. This is what I told you. See, you are sitting in practice today, you must make at least 15 lakhs, let's say. Days per annum, 250. This is my salary cost per day. Now, is it enough if I recover only my salary? No. See, please remember, in a professional practice, you must recover your salary, and on top of that, you should make a profit. This is my overhead. How did I calculate my overheads? I have 47 lakhs of salary. This is my overhead is 20 lakhs. How did I calculate my overheads? I'm paying 25,000 rupees a month rent. So it's 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs electricity, telephone, internet, mobiles, admin salary, staff welfare, 10,000 rupees a month, travel, conveyance, others. 20 lakhs is the overhead. So today I'm running a small practice with 3 partners, 2 paid assistants. I mean, some of these numbers are hypothetical. So just so that it looks okay, let me even get this right. Somebody should not think. So this is what, let's say, for example, your cost. So salary is 51 lakhs. Overheads is 20 lakhs. Overheads as a percentage of salary cost is so much. This is your, I think I'll have 30% idle time. Because Saturdays we are learning. So straight away Saturday is gone. 1/6 is gone. 16% is idle. Because on Saturday we do filing everything. One more day in a week because you don't have a client every day. So I put my idle time, and this is my charge out rate per day. So as a partner, if you're working, you should ideally charge out so much. Now, how will I calculate an engagement fee? This is a profit markup, whether it is high, medium or low complexity. I need to spend 80 man days. How? I'm doing an engagement in May. Forget the days and all that. My partner has to spend 8 days. Your junior partner has to spend 16 days. Inter has to spend 60 days. 2 articles have to be there for 20 days to finish this audit. Let's say it's a low complexity engagement. I need to charge 2,65,000 rupees for this. Now today, is your client going to pay you 2,65,000 rupees for this? I don't know. But if you're spending 80 man days, you look at these legal firms, they will say blended rate per hour is 9,000 per hour. Large firms I've seen in some courts. So what is your blended rate per day here? Is 3,300 rupees for the team you're recovering. See, you can, of course, the institute themselves have given your minimum charge out rates. But see, again, the challenge here is the entire ecosystem has to move in this direction, which is where we are having a challenge. Today, if all of you join together and say this is the minimum, then you can work towards it. But if somebody undercuts or undercharges, then it becomes a problem. So this is one thing I found very useful on how to calculate my fees. See, and you know where you will get trapped as you grow as a firm, this overhead will become huge. One centralized air conditioning will cost your monthly power bill to go to 75,000 rupees. Your overheads start becoming high. So your charge out costs also will become high, which is, but that's how you run your practice. You start working on. But then as you become a better and better person professionally, I will say my salary cost I need to recover is 45 lakhs. Why? Because if I'm in the industry, this is the money I would have made. Which means today I will not touch anything unless I'm making at least 30,000 rupees charge out per day. So just evolve your own model. I'll share this with you, but you can do this. Similarly, you know, I had done proposal templates. So for example, of course, we've moved on over all of this, but let's say your client wants a statutory audit, you can have a nice statutory audit engagement letter. Of course, you know, this is a statutory audit, simple engagement letter. Of course, the institute themselves have given, this is nothing but the same thing from the institute. If you go to the institute website, there will be two formats of engagement letter, one with internal control over financial reporting and one without. You have to use it. But for me, we use a generic proposal template like this. So everything is already there. Introduction. In this, you write a few paragraphs about the client, terms of reference, coverage, methodology, timelines, confidentiality, fees, done. So today your article assistant will just change this and she'd build it. Similarly, when you're doing work, you must have your kits ready. So I'll share this again sometime, but I've done a general audit kit. So if you see, for everything, I have an audit program. So when my office goes for a statutory audit, they take this and go. So an article assistant or the manager will fill up everything. Continuance, acceptance checklist, consent under 139, engagement letter, no objection certificate, understanding the client business, risk of misstatement, audit planning memorandum, fixed assets, investments, what is my audit program, inventory, what is my audit program, revenues and receivables, cash and bank, loans and advances, all the balance sheet components are here. Internally, you have to develop these checklists. Similar, so for everything you do that. That's all.
So we'll take one more question.
Yeah, sure. 1 minute.
It's from Arun Unikrishnan.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah. Can you read out or I just read?
Yeah, please read it.
In smaller towns, clients have greater reluctance in paying for value-added services, while only opting to pay for compliance-based assignments. How do we go about convincing them about the importance of VAS? Perhaps offering them services at a discounted fee initially?
Yeah, I think so. You first have to offer fees at a discount rate. And then, see, the other thing is, while we do a lot of CPE programs, are you making sure that some chartered accountant or other is speaking in a lot of industry forums? Because today, one thing is for you to keep going and talking to each individual client. On the contrary, if I'm able to educate industry forums, that's where your value-added services will grow. The client has to realize